Welcome to the Bryan Callen Show. I have Bill Ottman on. Before we do that, a little housekeeping, kids. I will be in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Friday and Saturday. That's this Friday, this Saturday. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. Summit Comedy Club, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then I go right to Dania, Florida. I'll be in Dania, Florida, January 19, 2021. Come get some. All right? As always, podcast brought to you by the best flip-flops on planet Earth. Toe hold. Get your toe holds. Are they expensive? They're not expensive. They're the most expensive. But they are the only flip-flop you will ever need, I promise. It takes 500 steps, 550 steps to make one pair made by hand. And we've got this new vintage samurai that are sick. Without further ado, let's get to Bill Ottman.
Bryan Callen, this is his intro song. Bryan Callen, it's one hell of an intro song. His comedy is marvelous. He's a genius in world politics.
So we have Bill Ottman here on the Bryan Callen Show. And you created Minds, I think in 2011.
It's been a decade.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
And you have 6 million users already?
We got them.
So I'm going to get on it, but I have so many questions because listening to you on Rogan, you know, there are people that get into the weeds when it comes to the sort of the challenges that we face, you know, the privacy challenges we face, you know, the things that we're forced to watch, the algorithms we're forced into, and the echo chambers that these things create. But what was it? I think you had your first experience when you saw sort of what social media looked like when people were actually with each other in the same room, right? When it came to like huge music venues, and you did, it was a positive or a negative experience?
I mean, when Facebook first started blowing up, I was at UVM in school.
My sister
and I
went
was
there.
very like in the woods, like not into tech much,
Yeah.
actually. And just like seeing everyone in their phones so much, like so suddenly, I was freaked out. I hated it. I hated it. And I but then, you know, I was too extreme. You know, I was like almost like anti-tech, like trying to live like so minimally, like.
Well, you were up
studying.
in University of Vermont.
Yeah, that's what
You
it's-
can live pretty minimally, or it's a very organic. It's where Ben and Jerry's.
Dude,
I think
I was submitting essays handwritten. I had a laptop.
So you've always been kind of this ironic because tell people who don't know what you do, what Minds is first. Let's get an idea of where you are now, and then let's backtrack.
Minds are a network. So I have like this sort of more philosophical idea of it where we wanted to create a network that was like the result of what the community wants it to be.
Yeah.
So the name kind of suits it because it's this open source social network app where anyone can like contribute code.
So what does open sourced mean?
What do you think it means?
I know that there's proprietary technology when it comes to Apple and Google, and I know that you sign, you know, you click agree to those terms and services, and I know that they probably gather all your data, and that's how they make their money, and then they sell that data to third, fourth, and fifth parties. That's what I think happens.
So you know when you hear like there'll be like a supplement commercial, but it's like our proprietary blend. You know, it's like this whole idea of like your secret sauce. It's your recipe. So you've got with software, proprietary code, it's the same as like a supplement or anything. It just means it's secret.
Yeah.
So like the code of Facebook, Google, TikTok, everything is secret. They don't show the blueprints of how it's made. They're not transparent with the algorithms to the public. So open source means that like our code, the whole infrastructure of the whole app, which we've spent millions of dollars on, is all public. Anyone can take it. Anyone can fork it, make their own app, contribute to ours, audit our algorithms to make sure that we're not doing anything sketchy. And so
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know necessarily what kind of spyware is in TikTok because it's a secret algorithm, meaning I don't know what they're doing with my data. I don't know how they're collecting it. I don't know how much they're collecting of it, any of that stuff.
There's a fair amount that you can tell just from tools where you can kind of detect their tracking cookies and whatnot. But yeah, like mostly we don't know the full extent to how sketchy they're being. So it's like the transparency is foundational because otherwise you're just trusting that someone isn't abusing your privacy. So you're starting
and they're all abusing my privacy.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, they're scooping deep.
Okay, so because you make this great analogy, it's like before we knew what was in our food, they could put anything in our food. Then the FDA comes along and says you got to put the ingredients of what is in this food on the box, on the can, on the package, and it seems that we've been ingesting a whole bunch of poison. There are these technologies that hijack our brainstem. And Minds, MINDS, is an attempt to create a platform that allows you not only to own your own content and take it with you when you leave if you want, but also to understand exactly what Minds as a company is doing with the data that you are coming to that platform with.
Right.
And that's new.
The food analogy is so helpful.
Yeah.
Because, like organic, 20 years ago was like just starting. And now it's an explosion. Yeah. And it's like dominating. It's not dominating, but I think it's like very competitive. Most people who, when they go to buy their food, are, trying to get quality, transparent, organic, local, whatever, grass-fed, pasture, all the phrases that are like becoming annoying.
Regenerative.
Yeah.
Which you can't scale on a huge level, by the way. I talked to Peter Zion, who said on the podcast, he's like, without factory farm, we're all going to starve, especially the world. But I hear what you're saying.
Like in the apps, like I think it's going to hopefully and we're pushing for things like this, that in the App Store, when you're downloading an app, like we can get some labels and start to see differentiation between apps and like, but Google and Apple don't have interest in doing that right now.
Because they make so much money.
You can't even download an app on the App Store that's not, or on an iPhone that's not from the App Store.
Right.
There's no possible way. On Android, at least, you can do that.
Yeah.
So, because Android is open source, the base of it. So they're actually, like, even though Google, that's like one of the few good things that
open
Google
source
has done.
meaning I have access to the actual algorithm.
And the source code.
The source code.
Yeah.
I'm so ignorant to this
So,
stuff.
like, you could create your own operating system for an Android phone. And a lot of people do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And like the thing is that these companies know, like they all do a little bit of open source. Like they participate in it because they know that all the global developers, smartest programmers in the world are only going to use tools that are open source, because why are you going to build a company with software that you don't own?
Yeah. I mean, because this can shut you down at any time.
This is the trap that people, like, Squarespace, all of these, like, Wix, all these website builders, so this is a good one for people to understand because a lot of people have websites. But, like, WordPress, for instance, is open source. So you can own that code if it's your company that's building a media site or, your own website for whatever. You can take that and migrate somewhere else, and it's your code that you own. But like Squarespace and all these other places, which are fancy and slick and make it so easy, and that's the temptation. And that's the temptation with Google and everything. Google, you add Google Analytics to your website. Want to see what's going on? What's my traffic, dude? Like, but you are then an agent of Google. You are everybody who comes to your website. Yeah.
Well, my concern was always that you had these impossibly powerful, ubiquitous companies that had more money than any company's ever had in the history of the world. And then de facto had insane power over whether or not you were allowed to even exist or not. Let's be honest. You could be deplatformed at any time and were. And I was so outraged by that all the time because whether they're right wing, left wing, or whatever, I don't want anybody having a monopoly on information. It gets very, very dangerous. And I think that something like your company, Minds, is an inevitable sort of reaction, thank God, and a good reaction, and an alternative to this Goliath, this Leviathan, man.
Yeah, there's so we just integrated with this protocol called Nostr, which stands for Notes and Other Stuff Transmitted by Relay. And so it's owned by nobody. It's created anonymously. There's no company. It's this decentralized network of nodes where basically, and by the way, you remember the other day when Twitter almost like banned posting links to Instagram,
Yes.
and Nostr was included on there, and Mastodon and some of these others that have popped up. And then Elon was quickly like, okay, that was a bad idea. People, obviously
like
need
that.
to be able to link to your other social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's not. That's
anyway,
no longer a policy.
no, they retracted that. But anyway, he's doing mostly good things.
Yeah.
So, but Nostr is crazy because Twitter, in this, we're hopefully going to help facilitate this conversation. Like, I would love to interoperate with Twitter, and so that users own their data, their followers. Like, your followers, you have to own, because that's the scary part of getting banned on YouTube. Or, you spend your life building these things.
I know, dude.
And then they could just,
I know.
every day you're worried
about.
about
I've been in the podcasting game for so long. We never even for a second. The whole point of podcasting is you could say anything you wanted, how and when.
Mm-hmm.
That's no longer the case, man. You will get demonetized from YouTube.
Right.
We all know this. Even mentioning the word vaccine, or there were certain words you couldn't mention. Mm-hmm. When the Twitter thing was going on, if you mentioned Twitter or Elon Musk, we knew that we would get. I don't know if it was demonetized, but we wouldn't get prioritized. It was like we would be told, you can't do that in the first 10 minutes. Like, what?
Right. So to get a little bit technical quickly is just that Nostr is like a cryptographic protocol. So there's these nodes all around. Everybody has a key associated. This is where we think the future is going. Everybody is going to have their own cryptographic key. That's like your identity.
Okay.
In the same way that you have a Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah.
Or whatever crypto wallet. That key is where people can message you, where they can send money, and every time you make a post, your key is signing your content. So it's doing sort of the signature on the content.
So it's kind of like licensing it.
It's creating that correlation between, the identity and the content. And then every time you follow somebody, there's a signature happening. Every time someone follows you, there's a signature happening.
Is this like NFT technology where it's like original technology? It's you, right?
It's related because NFTs use crypto keys.
Right.
So Nostr is like a cryptographic protocol that's not a blockchain. Because everybody's like, blockchain this, we need blockchain for everything. But you don't, because blockchains are good for a specific use case, like money and transactions and
like
finance. It's an open ledger, but you don't need to be first of all, it's also immutable, meaning you can't delete ever. So you might want to be able to delete stuff.
Sure.
Might
change your mind on things.
Yeah. And so it basically uses the sovereignty that you get with cryptographic keys, but it's not immutable on a blockchain. And so it's much faster. It's actually scalable. It's the type of thing that Twitter could integrate. And I think that you're starting to see, even Instagram just integrated NFTs. Yeah. It's great. So they know they have to
so these
go
big
this
companies
way.
are starting to realize, I would imagine these big companies are going to realize that the more alternative there is to actually own your own data. I mean,
it's going to become competitive.
I was going to say.
That's the thing. The creators, without putting the creators first, and that's our whole ethos, is, you're going to become non-competitive.
But what's your economic model? How do you make money? Do you have to sign up for it?
You can.
Do you have to pay a certain fee? Or
no, there's free, but then there's Mine's Plus and Mine's Pro. There's tiers. Yeah. So membership is huge. I mean, the membership is the future of everything.
100%. Yeah.
And
but I think people would pay for that. I would pay for that in a heartbeat. If it was if you said $10 a month or $50 a month, whatever it is, and I get to own all my data and everything, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
But this whole, ultimately we just want all the big networks to participate in, like, I don't think that it's going to be like Facebook and Google just go away in the same way that it's just not possible.
No,
There's
look,
no
Microsoft
chance.
just bought Chat GPT,
Yeah.
right?
10 bill.
Yeah. So it's like they're aware of the trend. And that scares me.
Chat, have you played with it?
Dude, a little bit.
Yeah.
Can we talk about
Yes,
that?
yeah.
Because that feels like the biggest disruptor since the printing press.
So it's terrifying to me because it is proprietary. So this is why it's scary. So, and it's open AI. These guys have balls to call themselves open AI. They and there's geniuses. I'm not like disparaging. Like
it's like it's magic.
But
it's literally
it is magic. And so they have this language model, and they don't share how it's working. And this is where I think Chat GPT is going to become absolutely massive, but this is going to happen. We'll talk in a year or two, and there's going to be another model that's open source that is just as dominant as Chat GPT.
Well, Google's working on it, aren't they?
Yeah, but probably won't be open source, whatever Google does.
Okay.
So like,
there's going to be an open source.
Did you see DALL-E?
Yeah.
Which is another project of
Yeah.
OpenAI. So that's the
it
image
makes me
one.
think that this is a fucking simulation. That
Right.
literally we're folding in on each other, and that DALL-E happened on another dimension on such a deep level that we're in a DALL-E fucking program. I mean, it's fucking crazy.
It is. And so DALL-E is like basically a text prompt. It generates an image. But then what happened is Stable Diffusion came along and is the open source competitor to DALL-E. And Stable Diffusion is bigger than DALL-E at this point. Now have you done Midjourney?
No.
Okay, so
I'm a caveman.
Okay, Midjourney is really fun because it's just so easy. You can just sit there. It has they do have a Discord plugin, so you can basically just type a message into Discord of like anything you can think of, and it'll pop out some wild image that is high res and like would have taken, $25K to commission an artist to create.
This is Midjourney.
Midjourney.
Dude, this is where artists and graphic designers are out of a job overnight. Yes or no?
Unless they adapt and start utilizing it and play with it, because I think that there's still going to be demand for like human stuff. Like there's going to, how much you want to see that you want to, on footers of websites, you start to see like made by humans. Yeah. And that's going to be like, dude. That's going to be coveted and people are going to want that. So,
I mean, maybe unless I have I need shit done quickly. Right. Mm-hmm. And I might need, first of all, it's a human I have to pay a lot of money for a long time, and it's great.
It's so much money.
It's going to be like the chocolate bar I bought him. That chocolate bar was like $12, but it's like made by a farmer whose name is such and such. I got it because the only thing I fucking had. You want a chocolate?
It tastes very better.
We're gonna eat some of that. Good Now Farms. All that shit.
Who? The Who chocolate?
No.
Oh, it's very good.
Really?
Yeah,
same shit.
Same shit.
It's like ridiculous, but that will be a wonderful delicacy. But I'm afraid that our biological heritage is dying with AI. I mean,
but AI is the art is created by humans. It's just compiled. So, and this is a sketchy thing about Chat GPT is that where's the attribution?
What do you mean by
to
that?
all of the art that is fueling it?
That's right.
Like your shit is in Chat GPT.
Somebody put I want an opening of my stand-up in Bryan Callen's voice. It wasn't bad. It was a thing on avocado. So I was like, it's not bad. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
So, but this is why OpenAI is sketch, because they're not disclosing their source. Like they're basically there's immense profit happening, and they're basically scraping the whole internet of everybody's and I do sort of think that like
they're just jumbling it.
You put stuff out there. It's just a trained predictive learning model, and yeah, they're pulling in as much data as they possibly can, and it's just becoming smarter over time. It's the same way that like Tesla's AI works, but you need the dystopian AI hell is proprietary, because it's just this power, this unbalanced power dynamic between OpenAI, Microsoft, and the general public, where they have all access to all the information, and then the public has no access. So that's why it's so amazing to see Stable Diffusion blow up and Midjourney start to, dominate over DALL-E, because that's more of like people powered. It's anyone can build on it. Anyone has the opportunity to build their own AI company with that stuff. Yeah. So it's the same in social networking. It's like whatever industry you want to talk about, food, AI, social, browsers, the Brave browser, they're open source. So they're actually doing stuff better. They, block nasty ads and whatnot.
So the future is crypto keys and open sourced platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And one wonders though, as you get a bunch of minds and people like yourself who are creating these things, man, I can just see Google coming in and being like, we're going to buy all this stuff up. Remember the local breweries? All these local breweries, and Budweiser came in and goes, we'll buy that from you. Thanks a lot. And bought up all the fucking local breweries.
Dude, I would be burned at the stake.
I know. The problem is they might offer you $1 billion fucking dollars, and you're the kind of guy that could be a billionaire, and now you're fucked.
I would
it's
have to
really
go
hard
into
to say no.
hiding.
I know. It's hard to say no, though. $1 billion, like, fuck you guys. And then now you can live in some rudimentary shack in Costa Rica the way Jack Dorsey does. It's like...
Well, this is why it's very good that we have a big tech company that is no longer, fitting the mold, which is Twitter.
Yeah.
So, he hasn't open sourced Twitter yet, but he has said he would. He was just on
This is Dorsey?
This is Elon.
Oh, Elon.
Elon was just on a Twitter space the other day with this guy, George Hotz, who's like very eccentric technologist, and who was interning at Twitter and quit because it wasn't going the way he wanted. But anyway, Elon said he would publish the source code, and they were kind of debating it. And he said that on his TED Talk, but right before he bought Twitter. He knows that transparency is absolutely necessary. He's gonna open. I mean, he's whistleblowing himself right now.
It's kind of badass.
That is.
It's badass. Do you think Twitter's going to be a success? Do you think he's going to be able to turn Twitter into, $40 billion fucking dollars? Like, it could ruin him.
I mean, it's the number 1 app today in the store.
It is.
Yeah.
He's a bad motherfucker.
And
that guy's a visionary.
Because
God damn.
It's pretty shocking that he's disclosing all of the Twitter files, because that stuff could open Twitter up to liability. Like,
it could, right?
Significant, with all these people getting banned. I mean, because Alex Berenson, are you familiar with him?
Yeah.
So he
won.
He won, and then he settled.
Reinstated.
And he got reinstated. But like, when contracts are broken, there's money to be had.
Money to be had. Yeah. Fuck. I never thought of that. And Elon might be on the hook for that, or he could actually go back to them and say, I want some.
You didn't
money
disclose
back.
this.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah. So
that's right.
But
fuck, that would be a crazy thing. But that's so interesting.
I mean,
the drama gets deep.
Twitter was paid millions of dollars to process censorship requests from the government. Millions. They were bankrolling the censorship.
Paid millions to process censorship requests.
So
because a lot of times it seems like their digital czar would say to Twitter, "Hey, you guys, Tucker Carlson saying shit about COVID that's not true. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it?" And then they'd be like, "Oh, well, we have to flag this."
Yeah. And they were very careful. There were even disclaimers in the footers of their emails, like, you are not required to take this down. But like, I don't know, what is pressure? What constitutes pressure?
Well, I'm sure they ran those letters by their lawyers, and a lot of them are lawyers themselves. So it'll be murky. My guess is those lawsuits will probably be dismissed on technicalities, or they'll be settled out of court because they'll say, you want to do this for 3 or 4 years? Because we can do it. And then, like anything else, it'd become. But I do like the warning shot over the bow, right? I do like the idea that there is transparency. It's a big deal. It makes you wonder what Facebook is up to, what Instagram, what YouTube is up to. Yeah, I'm sure the same thing.
Oh, yeah, if not worse.
Yeah. We all feel it. We all feel it. it's amazing how, like, what happened to me and my friends. We're none of that. We're not right wing. I'm just a free speech it's like with Rogan. I'm probably very aligned with Joe. Every time we talk, we basically, like, I feel like I'm on the same page as Joe. That does not mean I'm a right wing guy. I'm just responsive to evidence, right? And we watched, myself and some other friends of mine watched our Instagram views go from 400,000 to 30,000, dude. I couldn't understand what the fuck was going on. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what's happening? How is this only getting 30,000 views? This doesn't make sense. I have 1 million followers or whatever the fuck it was. Anyway.
No, I mean, yeah.
That's
preach to the choir. Facebook for a year, and luckily through a friend of a friend, we got this changed, which is ridiculous. There was no actual appeal system. If you pasted a link to mines in Messenger or tried to post on Facebook, it would do this huge warning, and it would say that, this site, has, unsafe content. Like in chat, it would warn you
that's a company saying this other company is a competitor. Look, the murky issue we get into is that Twitter is not a a public company. It's a private company. Technically, they can do whatever the fuck they want. So can Facebook. But to your point, when you were on Rogan, you talked about Clarence Thomas saying that there comes a point where these things get big enough, like a phone company, that they become public domains and have to be treated as such.
Common carrier.
Mm-hmm. If you have that outsized an influence and that kind of a monopoly, I think this is where antitrust laws can be applied in one way or another, where you have to have a governing body like the U.S. government come in and fucking say this is too big. Where the danger lies is when you have this lateral cooperation between people in government and people at tech. And I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on all sides because they're trying to control misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. I chalk most of this stuff up not to conspiracy, but rather to bad ideas, overreactions, panic, covering tracks, thinking on the fly, big mistakes. That's how human beings behave, and bloated bureaucracies that just move in a direction and nobody really knows how to stop it. That, I think, am I off mark, or are you more of a conspiratorial minded guy on this stuff?
I don't. It's sort of semantic. Like,
yeah, it is semantic.
It is semantic. Ultimately, like,
doesn't matter.
They are taking down lawful speech, and that just, the thing is that it doesn't even work. Like, we Daryl and I wrote this huge paper bringing together all the studies about censorship.
Daryl Davis, who is a black musician who famously over the past 7 years or whatever has been, more than that now, 10 or something, has been walking up into Klan rallies and white supremacist rallies and changing minds by listening first.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. But keep going. So you guys wrote a paper.
Well, just proving that censorship causes increased radicalization. And it's like, so all these sort of moral police are trying to say, oh, hate speech, misinformation, needs to be taken down so that we can stop hate speech. I think we all agree we don't like hate speech. Like, no one likes hate speech.
But it doesn't work. It doesn't work when you censor it.
No, they just it metastasizes, it gets out of control, they go and get crazier. You push those people into isolation. Like, that's what school shooters, that's how you create a school shooter. You push them into their own little silo. So, I mean, and yeah, with the conversations with Daryl, it's not just cake. Like, it's everyone who is extreme. Like, we want to talk to people in jail, murderers, whatever it is, like extremists. You can't answer this question. Why is it not okay to have an interview with some controversial political figure who's nonviolent and maybe says crazy things on Twitter, but it's okay to create a Netflix special, true crime, and go and interview an actual serial killer, and everybody's obsessed with serial killers.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. You know, John Stuart Mill talked about free speech, and he was probably the most articulate in terms of why is it important to be able to hear ideas that grate against your ideas, that disturb your framework of reality, that are offensive to your framework of reality. Why is it important to allow people to speak their minds? Why is the First Amendment a fucking miracle and must be guarded at all costs? Because for a number of reasons. One is it may, when you hear somebody, you hold a point of view or a philosophy, a set of beliefs. If somebody comes to you with some outlandish idea, some racist idea, whatever, it will galvanize. It will actually strengthen your position because you battle test your position, your series of ideas by coming across ideas that push back on the ideas you hold sacred. And when you are open to hearing what the other side has said, a couple things might happen. One, you might change your mind. Two, you may very well strengthen your position based on what they said. And you realize, wow, that's, or three, your idea and their idea may mesh in one way or another. You may take some of their ideas. They may take some of your ideas. You may discard some of your ideas. They may discard some of theirs. And what happens is you get a new idea. You can call it idea sex, right? Thank you. Yeah, idea sex. But that's how you progress. I have changed my mind as an adult by reading books. I hold this set of beliefs. It didn't occur to me to take an audit of why I believe this. Like I would say things like, I'm a libertarian. I'm a true libertarian. Well, I would say that because my dad said that, and I read
civil libertarian, and it's like all these different.
I did all this stuff, and then I realized I don't know how the first thing about how the government works, and I don't know the first thing about the chain of supply. I don't know the first thing about really economics and how I benefit from good government programs or government in general. So I had to kind of like step back and go, wow, I got to educate myself on where I'm wrong here. But that's what you have to keep doing. And that's why open source, that's why things like Minds to me are so, I got to get on this. I'm not on it.
Get on there.
Yeah, it's important because that to me is how you develop a stronger, I guess, philosophy, and you become a more informed citizen.
I mean, Daryl, when you tell people about Daryl, they're like put aback. When you first learn the Daryl Davis story, it's like, especially when you're talking to people who are advocating for censorship, like all these moderators at big tech who are sitting there like thinking, oh, I'm, making the world safer from misinformation by taking down this, Republicans' COVID study. Tell them about Daryl Davis, how he befriended KKK. Like, how many extremists have those moderators converted? Zero.
This is so
zero.
important.
He's done hundreds. Like, that is data.
It's
is real.
such an important point, because like you may have a set of beliefs and think you're right. How many people are you bringing over to your side, or are you just screaming that you're right and building a larger wall? We've seen how that works. It's the politicians and the people who are good at persuading. Amos Oz, who is a writer, an Israeli writer, said the way you beat a bad idea is with a better idea. That's what you do. You beat bad ideas with better ideas. And Daryl Davis is a classic example.
It's so sad that this is even like needs to be restated so much. It's like so basic. And now it's we just have to keep saying it over and over. And it's honestly, I do think that things are turning now that Twitter has been taken.
Yeah.
It's literally a battlefield. And, there's other reasons that he bought Twitter. I mean, think of the marketing engine he has for SpaceX and Tesla now. He can just churn sales out of that thing.
Yes.
And he controls the algorithm. And, we do need to see, and I hope that he does this, are these government requests still coming in? Like, what's happening now at Twitter? Have these have these industry meetings with DHS, NSA, CIA, FBI, have they stopped? Are they still going on?
I don't think they've stopped.
No.
My guess is that they have to monitor this because
they do. Yeah.
But I would say, yeah, I wonder at times. I think there becomes, it's a platform that people are using, and some are going to use it to try to create destruction, in one way or another. They're either going to communicate in ways, and so whether you like it or not, the NSA is going to be listening. The FBI, the CIA is going to be involved in one way or another. They'll figure out a way to do it.
Yes, but if you give them a back door, like Snowden showed us, by literally letting them put software into the infrastructure, that's a huge difference from making them kind of... That's why Signal is so powerful. So Signal is an encrypted messaging app. And like, you see these leaked emails, the government's using Signal for their own security.
Yeah.
Like you see Yoel Roth, the former head of trust at Twitter, talking to these FBI guys, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna set up like a private Signal room." It's like, what? Like,
what's going on?
The government is using a private company's encryption protocol. Like, don't you guys have your own? Like, no. Like the market actually figured that out,
100%.
and that's amazing. It's an amazing story.
It is amazing, actually, that free enterprise came up with a better thing than the government can. Imagine that. But so Twitter's the largest app, which I didn't realize. It does seem like there was a concerted effort by mainstream media to put Elon Musk in the same category as someone like Donald Trump. He was public enemy number one all of a sudden. He was the bad guy. You had all these celebrities leaving Twitter, the arrogance.
By the way, how funny is it that Trump won't post?
He doesn't post.
He won't post on Twitter.
Right, he's on Truth Social. Or something?
Yeah. He lets him back, and he complains about it forever, and now he won't make a post.
He won't make a post.
It's such a power play game with Elon. Like, oh, I'm not going to post on your platform.
Amazing, and he's got 104 million followers.
Yeah.
Did celebrities leaving Twitter and the demonization of Elon Musk by a lot of mainstream media outlets, did that affect Twitter's market share, or no, or did it strengthen it?
I mean, they're growing, and I think they're not the biggest, but like in the charts right now, they're growing the fastest.
Twitter,
yeah, and so it's you said the word inevitable before. Like, I do think that free speech, transparency, privacy are just inevitable forces that people want in every industry. So, the best performing the most feature rich app that has those things, like if you have a choice, Facebook with all of the dystopian chaos versus if Twitter open sources, or because Twitter's like competitive in functionality to those apps, like they billions of dollars of dev and design, like it's a great app. Like, so but if you could choose between freedom and not freedom, like why are you gonna choose not?
Only because you're lazy.
Yeah.
That's it. Only because so much. I haven't even downloaded Chat GPT yet. I have to.
You don't download it. It's just a web app.
It's a web app. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. But I haven't even, but are you concerned that Microsoft now owns 49% of it, or is going to? Is that going to make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, I was always concerned. Like, it's super fun to play with, but like I feel a little dirty every time I use it. In the same way that I feel a little dirty every time I Google.
Yeah.
Because you're feeding this beast that the public doesn't control.
Yeah, you're not able to protect your data, are you? And how do you?
Like, you mean from them absorbing it?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's
like. Fucked. We're all fucked.
Oh,
for now.
Yeah, and I mean, look, transparency, like, there is sort of this paradox between like open source, transparency. Look at what we all do. We're all podcasting, live streaming, broadcasting ourselves half the day. Like, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just the world is changing to we're being more transparent. Evolutionarily, I think that makes sense.
Actually, though, also it's harder and harder to control people as they get more technical. So China tried that social credit score system. It didn't really work, man. They couldn't do it. It's just too many people. It's too much. It's too much moderation. and they weren't able to do it. It just didn't work.
I mean, it's in effect now, isn't it?
It is, but it's not been. I mean, look, there's no doubt that the Chinese are very good at controlling people, and they do some pretty awful things. But apparently, the social credit score system that they were probably trying to instill is just became too. They got too many other problems, and that would require. So it would require a couple steps. One, you'd have to have so many moderators of this. Then you'd have to have a ledger or sort of a track record for each individual on how they were violating the standards. You'd also have to have an ever-moving social credit standard. And then you'd have to have an enforcement wing. So there's so many steps to it that become you're just creating one bureaucracy after another, and it just becomes impossible.
Yeah, and because the way they've done it has been completely centralized. So in like decentralized world, I do think so. There's a concept called a web of trust, and so when you talk about misinformation and like how do you know what you're seeing, when you're scrolling through your feed if it's real or not, like that is a real problem. Like we do need a mechanism so that we can sort, true information from false information, especially as deep fakes and everything is becoming, no one has any idea is that a real person? I don't know. Like, literally videos of people, you don't even know if it's a real person.
Crazy.
So it's going to be totally necessary to have a little visualization, like breakout from a post so you can see, the authenticity, but we need community and like a decentral, like peers voting and so something that is not centrally controlled. I do think that decentralized reputation is necessary,
but I think you're going to be able to do that with so the technology that makes you that ensures that you actually have a Bitcoin, the technology that ensures that you actually own this NFT, that technology where computers are talking to each other from different, where they're all there's a vector that where they all sort of substantiate that this is the real expression, the original expression. Yep. I think you're going to probably see a technology like that comes to bear when a president's making a speech or somebody's talking.
Yep.
It's like this is the actual NFT or this is the actual image. There's going to be technology around that, probably be proprietary technology again, which I don't have a problem with proprietary technology because it's part of what drives our economy. You want to be able to have people like yourself who come up with these cool platforms with the idea that someday you will be able to sell it and make a fortune,
Yeah.
You have to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
I think 6 million users on Minds. That's a big fucking platform.
You can still create a ton of value and be transparent at the same time. And there's actually, there's all these different licenses that you can use so open source doesn't mean it's just like, I give it away completely and get nothing in return. There's all different kinds of licenses. So we use one called the GPL, which is like the base general public license, which means anyone can take our code, do whatever they want, but they have to give us attribution. And if they make any changes to it, they have to share those changes with everybody.
Oh, wow.
So that's different so that like keeps it so that we're getting access to the innovations that they're making on what we've built.
Got it.
But
what is Briar?
Briar. Oh, Briar. Yeah. That's a peer-to-peer messaging app where there's no servers. There's no central servers. It's like Signal, but there's no central company. How
does that work?
Mesh networking. It's insane.
So that's the future.
I mean, it's very difficult tech to make work well. Like it's a sort of immature app, but it does, like in Ukraine, when the internet goes down, people can still connect and message each other over Bluetooth. So that's really important from like in authoritarian governments and whatnot because when ISPs go down, like, okay.
Yeah.
You need something like more off grid.
When I was in China, I was shooting this movie. You had to keep fucking with the firewalls. You couldn't use Google, so you had to keep like doing these different routers, and you'd see our people, and they'd have to be like, "Oh fuck, I just got kicked off that," and then they'd have to go to another. It was so bizarre.
So you were on the shoot, and they had like a system for everyone to be able to still do
Everybody.
their thing. But
They give you a phone. First
how
of all, when you
unstable
get
was
there,
it?
you do a retinal scan and a fingerprint scan. Okay, that's at the airport. Yeah, and then there's literally a disclaimer that says you are not allowed to be critical of the government. On top of that, the movie I was going to do, I had to chase this Chinese bad guy through the old Beijing, like the old part of the city. And then I had to tackle him and arrest him and stuff. And it was literally a full day of shooting. And I was going to have to be like, the director was like, you got to be in shape for this. You're going to be doing a lot of this jumping and running. And, the way we're going to shoot it, we don't want to use a stuntman. So, you're going to
which obviously you were.
Well, dude, I'm an all around athlete. Where's my fucking camera, bro? Is that it? Yeah. Okay, dude, I'm just saying, dude, I'm a fucking man. But the Chinese went, oh, no, you're not doing that. Oh, no, you will not shoot that in our country. You will not have an American FBI agent or whatever he's playing tackle and apprehend a Chinese national. It ain't happening. We had to rewrite the entire fucking scene and part of the movie. And it was a major problem. So I ended up not having to go there as long because of that censorship from the government. So they then give you a phone. It's called a Wii phone or some shit like that. And obviously they can see everything you're doing on that. And I didn't use the phone.
You had to sign something. That must have felt a little
wrong. You don't sign. You just see that they warn you.
Mm.
Anything you say against the government, you will be deported immediately. Mm-hmm. You're not allowed to do that in China. It's such a fucking weird place. I didn't like it at all. At all. Beijing is the worst city I've ever been to. I'm sorry. Shanghai apparently is pretty cool. Beijing felt anti-human. I felt so bad for the people there.
That's just a shame for the writers of the film too. It's like that's warp. It's literally changing the movie.
You should also see what it's like when you work on a movie as a Chinese national and you are, first of all, a makeup person or a crew person. You are taking your orders from one person who is probably financing that movie. And I watched that one person talk to their employees. It was ugly. They are essentially slaves. It was really weird. Now, I'm being unfair to China. I only saw a tiny sliver of China, which is a small part of Beijing. It's a very complex country, and so I don't want to be too, but I was bummed out.
It just seems like such a fool's errand that because all the citizens of China are probably using the same methods that you were using to like get the real internet.
100%.
And then,
and by the way, with now more and more of this technology,
yeah,
good luck.
Yeah, good luck. It's just a waste of time. You might as well just embrace information, and your country's going to do better. Yeah. But they're just so insecure.
Yeah. Well, the Chinese have always been really good at population, control and controlling large swaths of people. There was a time when flies, and I can't remember why, but flies became such a major problem in China. And I can't remember what the story, but you'd have to look it up, Dylan. But they said every Chinese person has to catch 8 flies a day, which is what they started doing. And they took care of that fly problem. Sometimes you can do shit at that level where you have that many people. The Red Army, I remember they were talking about the Red Army and the Chinese Army. They could walk past you 10 abreast or 5 abreast, and as they were walking, you would never run out of soldiers. There were so many, and by the time the next one, they'd have new recruits. So it would just keep going forever. You'd never... that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it was called the Four Pests campaign, where everybody needed to take care of their own mosquito problem, rodent problem, flies, and sparrows.
And sparrows.
Yeah, too many sparrows.
Just swat them.
You can eat them.
Yeah.
And so what happened? They basically, when was that? Mao Zedong.
1958.
Mao Zedong. I say it correctly. What is your background? How did you get into this? How did you decide? Did you study computer science? Where do you look? How did you figure out what they were doing?
I figured out because I was so disgusted by it in the beginning, just seeing how antisocial and addictive it was. And then I started just finding out that there was this other part of the internet that with organizations like Firefox, Mozilla, even Wikipedia, which Wikipedia has sort of been hijacked, but Wikipedia did an amazing thing. I mean, they remember Encarta, like those, you're in the CD-ROM, Encyclopedia Britannica, like they're gone, they're dead, no one cares.
Yeah,
they're and that is a totally crowdsourced project, all open source, anyone can use the contents, all Creative Commons content. And
why'd you say it got hijacked?
Well, I mean, for instance, even our page on Wikipedia, we have been in a war with these moderators who want to try, and they do exert this control, and like the way that the editorial system works on there is not it's not good. It allows wrong information or misframing of information to.
So if you try to change your Wikipedia page, they will change it back? Or?
Yeah, they'll change it back. And so this dominance.
Who's they?
So there's this woman, her name is Molly White, and she's been actually like making the rounds on podcasts recently. Her Wikipedia is guerrilla warfare, and she basically goes to all different alternative tech apps and calls them far right. We had to push hard to get even our story with Daryl and our framing around civil discourse, everything we do with dialogue, bringing the left and the right together. We've done everything we can to not be political, but her and these group of editors basically try to frame us as this haven.
What's her name?
Molly White.
Bring her up.
Yeah, she was on Rushkoff's podcast the other day, and she's like also very anti crypto and.
Is she very woke, or what's the deal?
Yeah.
What is this woke
I
shit?
reached out to her and I was like, listen, like, can we talk? Like, why are you doing this? Like, this is not
She doesn't
reality.
want right and left to talk. She doesn't want to create. What is her?
She just wants to frame. She's just bought into the idea that censorship works. See,
very attractive.
I mean, she's smart for sure.
She's Molly White, so she's very young.
Yeah, she's like a huge crypto critic, and she is a very influential Wikipedia editor. And so, anyway.
She's against the crypto.
Yeah, she's very against. Because look, there are tons of scams in crypto.
Of course.
So like she's
So
taking a very absolute stance on something that is more nuanced. Like,
and she's also, what is she? She's a Wikipedia editor. She has a job at Wikipedia.
No, there's no one has jobs at Wikipedia. Well, I mean, people have jobs there, but
So
I don't think she's
edit?
paid.
How does she get
you
to
earn
edit?
you earn anyone can edit. Like, you could go edit your page, but the question is it going to stick? And who has the authority on your page, and who has the reputation?
Why can't I have the authority? Because it's on Wikipedia.
You earn you earn power over time. I'm not I don't exactly know all the mechanics of how Wikipedia's editing work, but in any case, the point being, I actually love Wikipedia, but they've got she's gotten this far right thing to stick. In the first, I was like,
so she's saying
go ahead.
She's saying you're far right.
She's saying that there's a lot of far right users on Minds, which there are on every social network.
And how do you define far right?
Exactly. It's like this phrase, it's weaponized language. Far right. Like, why are you...
They called Jordan Peterson far right. It's like, fuck off, man.
Yeah, they call everybody who likes free speech far right.
It's
even
amazing.
if you're literally far left. Like, Zizek and Chomsky and like all of sort of like the great thinkers of the left are like very free speech.
See where she went to college and what she majored in. So when you reached out to her, what did she say anything?
She responded, but she was kind of just like not. She was like, "This is what I think," and you can try to provide more source information that would show otherwise. And so it's more of like, it's not that it's untrue that there are certain far right users on Minds. Like, again, every social network has them.
When it's an open.
We have tons of left wing users. We have a huge progressive base, all kinds of Green Party people, all kinds of. Yeah. And so just because.
Did you let the Green Party know that if they want to turn things electric, they're gonna have to figure out a way to get cobalt out of fucking Teslas and their iPhones, all those conflict minerals that are mined by very poor people and children.
That was a ripper of a podcast.
I mean, but I've known that. I've been reading about that cobalt shit
Really?
10 years ago. Fuck yeah. I love when these things are new. It's like I've been reading about that forever ago.
But those photos really are what put it over the edge.
But those mines in the Congo, they suck. The Congo in general is a failed state run by fiefdoms, warlords. It's a disaster.
Yeah,
but we can't live without cobalt, lithium, tin, all these copper, all these things that we need for all.
Would you pay double?
Would I pay double? So that question is, I can afford double. I can afford to pay. I can afford to buy pasture-raised eggs. I can afford to do all that stuff. You can't scale that. And the problem with an EV, an electric vehicle, is that lithium battery is produced in China on a coal grid. Your fossil fuel footprint is huge by the time you buy that Tesla or that Prius. And that's what people don't realize. We can't go green, we can't go electric without wildly increasing our fossil fuel. This is what Peter Zion's been talking about. And if you actually look at how these products are made, if you look at the kinds of materials you need to make this stuff, that's the truth. Until we come up with breakthroughs in material sciences, no one is getting off fossil fuels. It's adorable. It's adorable that people think we can. I wish we could, but we're not.
I honestly think that Apple and Tesla could just put an option on their site when you purchase the product to literally throw down double. And so then they could put that money.
I still don't know if you can make the batteries without cobalt.
No, I know. They are working on that, but yeah, for a while, for a long time, we're not going to be able to. But the point being, like, I forget his name, who was on Rogan the other day talking about it. That guy who really blew it open again.
Yeah.
But I mean, his point is, look, like, these companies have a responsibility to make this not happen and fund what needs to be funded to make it not happen.
Yeah. And
so, but Apple and Tesla are like that's really expensive.
Oh yeah.
So
again, that's a very, very difficult thing to do.
But again, I think that people would, why not try giving consumers the option to pay more to have like an ethical cobalt Tesla?
I have a better idea. Have those companies go to those cobalt mines and say, hey, motherfuckers, we're going to put schools in here, health clinics in here. We're going to put sanitation, all kinds of things. We're going to give these people a working wage. I mean, that what you need is these huge companies like Apple and Tesla and all the other car companies getting in the EV space to go to those cobalt mines and say, hey, we don't do business this way. And that's what'll happen, I think.
You do, but they also need the resources to be like, things cost more when they're ethical. That's just the reality.
That's true.
So like, if they like,
I think you're right though.
They
if you
could source more money.
If you educate consumers too, like for the first time, thanks to Joe Rogan and this guy who went there, and most people are going, this phone is not innocent. My car is not innocent. There are people working in abject poverty, and they might be children, to bring me my favorite devices.
I brought a phone onto Rogan.
I saw that.
And it was a disaster. It didn't even work. And like,
at least you're trying.
At least I'm trying. That's the thing, man. Like, so this phone, it's called a Purism or something, and it's all manufactured in the U.S. at least.
Yeah.
All the chips components are not.
Tough.
But like, you can't even boot the thing. Like,
we're not there
They're
yet.
trying, and I love those companies for trying.
There's
man.
a price that comes with civilization and convenience. Where did Molly?
Northeastern Computer Science.
Computer science.
Yeah.
Sounds like a smart woman.
I think that she can be, I think she could change your mind. I'll actually.
I'd love to get her on a podcast.
Maybe we'll get her at the Austin event.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we're doing that. I can't wait.
Dude, yeah. And I Destiny.
So that's April 15th.
April 15th.
Destiny, yourself.
Destiny, Bogosian. We've got, what else do we have? Tim
Dillon? Or,
Pool.
Oh, Tim Pool. I love Tim Pool.
He's doing a show the night before too,
Great.
and then we're gonna do music. It's
I'm
gonna be
supposed
fun,
to go
man.
do his Timcast, but I have to fly to Maryland.
Yeah, it's a fun show.
Yeah, I want to do
His
it.
compound's fun.
He's got a compound.
He has a compound.
He's paranoid.
I mean, dude, he's been swatted dozens of
God
times.
damn it, man.
Swattings are not
No,
okay.
No, they're not okay. They're not okay. No, these people are not good people. They're look. There are some people on the left and of course on the right, but believe me, they're just as bad on the left. Who are awful people, who are destructive people, not interested in dialogue, not interested in constructive debate. They're interested in destruction, so that they can tear it all down like revolutionaries do. And the problem is they don't know what to put in its place. And if they think that the Communist Manifesto is a good blueprint for that, they should take a look at the 20th century. No, we do it different though. No, communism hasn't been applied the way it's fucking okay. Or socialism. Okay, you go ahead and do that. But there is a very destructive element on the left, and that just is not to be reasoned with and has to be fought against. Unfortunately, I think.
So Destiny spoke at our last event at the Beacon in June, and it was really fun. And
Smart
he's
guy.
such a troll and also so smart. But basically, his criticism was that we need, because we had Cornell West, we had Tulsi, O'Keefe, so like Ben Burgess from Jacob, like we had left and right like pretty well covered, like, and it was not easy to cover it because finding people on both sides who will do it is tough. But Destiny's criticism was like, okay, we do these events and it's right and left, but it's all anti-establishment right and left. What we need is establishment and anti-establishment in the same room. And so for the Austin, I was texting with an NBC reporter this morning trying to get him to come, because also, do you know Eliza Blue? She's very, very interesting human trafficking survivor who's like blowing up and is anyway, she's working with Twitter on some of their issues with that. But this NBC reporter also covers child trafficking, and I'm texting him, I'm like, dude, come and speak, like, NBC, let's get your perspective. We need mainstream media alongside independent media. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't think I got to run it by my higher ups. I don't think they're going to go for it. I think, like, God damn it. Yeah, it's just so hard.
God damn it. If I ever am that way, shoot me in the head. This is why it's important to remain somewhat untethered, and why you have to resist the public embrace if it's large like that. You have to resist the corporate embrace. It can make things super cushy. There's a lot of money. You're a kind of guy, I'm telling you, I say it here now. You're the kind of guy that could very well find themselves being offered a crazy amount of money for your platform. I hope you do get to that point, but it's going to be a motherfucker. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's like, hey, Bill, you're about to be super wealthy. Okay. Yeah, you make enough money now, right? Or not enough. Nobody makes enough. But how old? You're a young guy. How old are you?
37.
You're young, dude.
Yeah, I am.
Take it easy, dude, right? Don't fucking say it like you accomplished something. God damn it. Yeah, I am.
But, I mean, no, it would be... I don't think they need to be mutually exclusive. Like, I think you can get super wealthy and also be ethical. It's harder. And, like, the thing is, the number of buyers... it would be great if we could just become fully sustainable and keep growing and not have to sell. Like, I don't want to. I have no desire to do that. And as we're also crowdfunded, like, thousands of members of our community own stock.
Wow.
In the company, like, as a private company. So we did, it's called equity crowdfunding.
I want to get involved.
Dude, equity crowdfunding is very powerful. You can, you don't need, it's like going public as a small company. And, the Jobs Act, like, I got passed like 5 years ago, enabled that, because traditionally, in order to invest in companies, you need to be an accredited investor, meaning that you have to have like over $1 million of net worth, or have a certain income. And that basically made startup investing totally inaccessible for normal people. And so the Jobs Act basically came through and enabled non-accredited investments up to a certain amount in private companies.
Really?
Yeah. So
When did that happen?
it happened, I don't know, like probably 6-7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck, you're so smart for being so young. So young. He's just a kid. He's 37, dude. He's just a kid. He learned how to walk.
Dude,
like
we're
a month
all
ago.
rocking green. You got the green hat. You got the green
Yeah, dude.
sweater. I got.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a moss
It's
green.
happening.
Minds. I'm joining Minds. I just download the app.
That's what you do.
Bring up the app. Let me see what it looks like for our viewers. If you don't download Minds, you're not an American. If you don't come to the fucking Austin, what is it called?
Minds Fest.
Minds Fest, April 15th, then lose my fucking number.
We're trying to elevate here.
Bridge
Bridge
the
the divide, bro.
Minds, M-I-N-D-S. Because I couldn't figure out what you were saying on Rogan. I was like, mimes?
I know, dude.
is he-
I need
did
to
he
buy.
join?
I need to buy. Yeah. I need to buy Minds, MINES.com, because too many people are probably going to that. But like, dude, it was hard to get this domain.
Dude, I bet.
I mean,
Earn crypto and RevShare. You got this is great.
yeah,
Dude, I'm going to be texting you and asking you all kinds of questions. I love this. Let's do this again, though. I love shit like
Yeah,
this.
let's do it.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, hit me up. Minds.com/Ottman, OTTMAN.
Minds.com/Ottman. Ottman sounds like you're Norwegian or something.
Prussian, German, Dutch.
Russian, German, Dutch, white boy. Ottman's not Jewish. No, you're straight up white boy.
Straight up
Tall.
white mutt.
He's a tall white kid.
Tall, slender.
Tall white kid with a big brain.
Yeah.
About to be rich as fuck. But you know what he's gonna say? No, Google. No. Right?
No.
If I was a stock owner, I'd be like,
Get this guy out of
say
here.
yes and we'll get out of here. We'll change our names.
Bryan Callen, this is his intro song.